Hi. The first issue that we will be addressing is determination of sacrificing ratio and gaining ratio. So this section will deal with this topic. Before we go further, let's recall the meaning of change in profit sharing ratio. So we said that the change in profit sharing ratio, it means that the existing partners agree to share profits and losses in a ratio that is different from the earlier profit sharing ratio. Now, what is the effect of change in profit sharing ratio? As a result of change in profit sharing ratio, one or more partner or partners acquire the share of profits of the business from another partner or partners. So one or more partner will gain and another partner or partners will sacrifice. But always remember that the aggregate amount of gain by one or more partner or partners will always be equal to the aggregate amount of sacrifice by another partner or partners. Let's see this by means of an example. Let's say A and B are partners in a firm sharing profits in the ratio of 3:2. Now they decide to share profits equally in future. That is, they decide that the new profit sharing ratio between both of them will be 1:1. So as per this example, the old profit sharing ratio is 3:2 and new profit sharing ratio is 1:1. So what do we call as old share and new share? Old share of A is 3/5 and old share of B is 2/5. Remember, we said that the old profit sharing ratio was 3:2. So now from that we arrive that A has 3 parts out of 5 parts and B has 2 parts out of 5 parts. As far as the new share of A and the new share of B is concerned, both is half because their new profit sharing ratio was 1:1 and therefore the new share is 1/2 for A as also 1/2 for B. In this problem, A sacrifices. So how do we find out whether a partner sacrifices or gains? Now when we apply the formula of old share minus new share. Now for partner A, if you see here, I've applied the formula old share minus new share. Old share of A is 3/5 minus the new share of A is 1/2. We'll take the LCM and the final answer we get is a positive figure 1/10. Now whenever we do a deduction from a certain amount and we get a positive figure, it means, as in this case, the old share is greater than the new share. That is why we are getting a positive figure after deducting the new share from the old share. So on applying the formula old share minus new share, whenever we get a positive figure, it implies that that person has made a sacrifice. And in case we get a negative figure, it implies that that person's old share is less than the new share. And that is why we are getting a negative figure, and that would imply a gain for that partner. So let's see the same concept with B. we will find that B is gaining. We'll apply the same formula, old share minus new share. Old share of B, 2 divided by 5, minus the new share of B, 1 by 2. On taking the LCM and deducting, we get a negative minus 1 by 10. So obviously this means that the new share is greater than the old share. So B has gained 1 by 10, and also the total of the gain, which is B's 1 by 10, is equal to the total of the sacrifice, which is A's 1 by 10. So how do we define sacrificing ratio? Definition of sacrificing ratio. It refers to the ratio in which one or more partners of the firm forego or sacrifice their share of profit in favor of another partner or partners in the firm. So you take the sacrifice of each partner and put it in the form of a ratio, and then we get what is called sacrificing ratio. The same implies for gaining ratio. Gaining ratio refers to the ratio in which one or more partner or partners gain share in profit as a result of sacrifice in share of profit by another partner or partners. So to get the gain ratio, put the gain of each partner in the form of a ratio, and then we get the gaining ratio. We'll see the entire formulas, how we can learn it by means of an example with chocolates. So let's go into learning all the formulae with an example of chocolates. Let's say A had 10 chocolates, B had 5 chocolates, and C had 4 chocolates. Let's say A sacrifices 6 chocolates by giving 4 chocolates to B and 2 chocolates to C. So now A will have 6 chocolates less, which is 4 chocolates. B will have 4 chocolates more, which is 9 chocolates. And C will have 2 chocolates more, which is 6 chocolates. So we'll go into each of the terms in detail. Let's first start with old profit sharing ratio. So the old share of A was 10 chocolates, B 5 chocolates, and C was 4 chocolates. Therefore, the old profit sharing ratio, or OPSR, between A, B and C is 10:5:4. Therefore, the old share of A is equal to 10 by 19. Old share of B is equal to 5 by 19. And old share of C is equal to 4 divided by 19. So we understood the old profit sharing ratio and the old share of the partners. Now let's see what the new profit sharing ratio and the new share is. The new share of A is 4 chocolates, that of B is 9 chocolates, and that of C is 6 chocolates. Therefore, the new profit sharing ratio, or NPSR, between A, B and C is 4:9:6. Therefore, the new share of A is 4 divided by 19. New share of B is equal to 9 divided by 19, and new share of C is equal to 6 divided by 19. Now based on this, old share and new share. Let's see who sacrifices and who gains. When we do the old share minus new share, if we get a positive figure, it's a sacrifice. And if we get a negative figure, it's a gain. This we learnt earlier. So let's see this for A, B and C. For A, old share 10 by 19 minus new share 4 by 19 is equal to a positive 6 by 19. Therefore, it's a sacrifice. For B, it's 5 by 19 old share minus 9 by 19 new share is equal to 4 by 19, but it's a negative figure. Therefore, B has gained. And for C, it's 4 by 19 old share minus 6 by 19 new share is equal to 2 by 19. Therefore, C also has gained. Let's find out what the gaining ratio and the sacrificing ratio is. So we said when we put the gain of the partners together in the form of a ratio, we get the gaining ratio. So now B has gained 4 chocolates and C has gained 2 chocolates. So we put these two in the form of a ratio as 4:2 and simplify it down to 2:1. Therefore, that is the gaining ratio between B and C. The same thing applies for sacrificing ratio, but however, in this sum, there is only one person who sacrifices. So we just say that sacrifice of A is equal to 6 by 19. It is not possible to form a ratio because for a ratio, at least 2 people should be sacrificing. So we just say sacrifice of A is 6 divided by 19. Now, what will happen if we are given the gain, that is the total gain, and the gaining ratio? For example, here the total gain by B and C is 6. 6 chocolates, both of them have gained together. And we just found out that the gaining ratio is 2:1. So if the total gain is given and the gaining ratio is given, how do we find out the gain of each partner? So let's go into that. The total gain by B and C is 6 chocolates and the gaining ratio between the B and C is 2:1. We can get the gain of each partner by applying the formula. Gain of that partner is equal to the total gain into gain ratio of that partner. So for B, it is total gain 6 into the gain ratio of B, which is 2 divided by 3. Therefore, B gains 4 chocolates and gain of C is 6 into 1 by 3 is equal to 2 chocolates. So we know that it is for a fact that gain of B is 4 chocolates and gain of C is 2 chocolates. So in case in any question the total gain is given and the gaining ratio is also given, to get the gain of the specific partner, we need to take the total gain multiplied by the gain ratio of that partner to get the gain of that partner. Now the same thing can be applied when the total sacrifice is given and the sacrificing ratio is given. All we need to do is to take the total sacrifice and multiply it by the sacrifice ratio of that partner to get the sacrifice of the partner. But in this problem, we can't apply this because we do not have a sacrificing ratio. There is only one person who sacrifices, partner A, and so the total sacrifice is sacrificed by partner A, which is 6. So with this chocolates example, we saw the concepts behind each and every formulae. Now let's see all the list of formulae that we need to remember while solving sums under this chapter. The list of formula which we need to remember. The first part, old share minus new share. A positive figure is a sacrifice, and old share minus new share, a negative figure, is a gain. The second set, to get the new share when a person has sacrificed, we need to apply the formula old share minus sacrifice. Whereas to get the new share when a person has gained, we need to apply the formula old share plus gain. The third set, when we put the ratio of the gain of the partners together, we get the gaining ratio, and when we put the sacrifice of the partners together in the form of a ratio, we get sacrificing ratio. The fourth set, let's say the total gain is Y and the gaining ratio between two partners A and B is 3:2. To find out how much gain of A is, we need to take the total gain and multiply it by the gaining ratio of A. In this case, gain of A is equal to Y, which is the total gain, into 3/5, and gain of B is equal to the total gain Y into 2 divided by 5. The same applies for the sacrifice and the sacrificing ratio, where total sacrifice is A and sacrificing ratio between X and Y, two partners, is 1:1. To get the sacrifice of X, we'll take the total sacrifice and multiply by the sacrifice ratio of X, which is A into 1/2, and sacrifice of Y is equal to A into 1/2 again. So this is a complete list of formulae that we need to remember while solving not only sums in this chapter of change in profit sharing ratio, but it applies even when there is an admission of partner, retirement, or death of a partner. So now in the next video, we will be solving sums on determination of sacrificing ratio and gaining ratio, and through that we will understand these formulas and concepts better.